Hey, so I built an automation that automatically responds to Instagram comments on my Instagram profile. And in this short video, I'd like to show you how you can build that yourself. Having an automation reply to my Instagram comments, of course, saves me a lot of time, and it makes the Instagram algorithm happy because there's a lot of engagement from me on my Instagram profile. Now, I think you could use a tool called ManyChat for that. That also has the ability to automatically react to comments, reactions, DMs, and so on. But ManyChat costs $15 a month, and I'm already paying for another tool called Make that costs me less than that. And again, I'm not talking about auto-responding to DMs or messages. I'm talking about responding to something like this. So Tiny Things is my Instagram profile. I've put up this post, and there has been a comment made on it. Wow, so cute. And I would like to respond to that, thank this guy, to keep the algorithm happy, to show engagement. So basically simulate clicking on response, typing something, and posting that. This automation that responds to Instagram comments is part of a larger tutorial I did where I totally automated the social media presence of my AI influencer that I created. It is step 4 of a 4-part step where I automatically upload an image, I post an image, I create content-aware captions for that, and finally I'm auto-reacting to comments made on these posts. So in this video, I'm just diving into that part. Because since I recorded this tutorial, this last part, reacting to the comments, is the one that I've changed around and optimized the most. And of course, you can use that standalone from all the other automations that I'm showing in this tutorial. Now, I'll show you the full automation in a second and tell you how you can recreate it step by step. But before we dive in, there are a few things that you need to get started. One is an Instagram business account. It only works with business account, not personal accounts. You need an Airtable account. A free one will do. You will need an account with make.com, the tool that I'm using to automate all of this. You can start using that for free for quite some time. And after that, it's $9 a month. If you don't have an account yet, I'd appreciate it if you could use the link in the video description to sign up. That would help me out a little bit. Thank you. And finally, you will need an OpenAI API key to generate the responses with ChatGPT. Optionally, I have a notification step at the end. I'm using Telegram to send me a notification, but you could also use Slack or Gmail, whatever you like. Finally, please keep in mind, since this scenario is quite complex, if you want to save yourself some time, you can go to my store and download a copy of this automation and import that into your Make account. The link is also in the video description. And since I like to reward people who watch my videos closely, if you use the code SMART at checkout, you can save 20. And if you want to save even more time, you can also let me set this up for you if you want. The option is also available in my store. It's called a setup session. If you have any questions about this, you can also reach me by email, philip@lazyandroid.com. But now let's have a look at the automation. This is the Make automation that auto-responds to my Instagram comments. Now, if you've never seen a Make automation, this can be a bit overwhelming, but don't worry, I'll walk you through it step by step. And what all of these little circles are basically individual steps that a non-technical person like myself can put together in order to create something very high-techy. Because what I'm doing here in a nutshell is at regular intervals, I'm going through every post on my Instagram feed. I will check if there are any new comments around. And if there are, I'm using ChatGPT to write an answer to these comments. And then I'm posting them back to the Instagram post and sending me a notification in Telegram. So it starts up here. And this clock symbol tells the automation how often it should run. I've set this to run every 360 minutes between working hours or waking hours between 8 and 10 p.m. But as you can see, you can fine-tune this very much to your liking. And in this first step, I've connected it to my Facebook or Instagram account, and I've told it which account to look for. And this step is called List Media, and this is what it does. It goes in and gets every single post that I have on this account. So at the moment, I've limited this to 50 posts. You could also switch this around to say, I only want to do the 3 most recent ones. I don't care if somebody responds to a comment that's 2 weeks old or something like that. You can tweak that however you want. So then for every post that I've found, I'm doing a lookup in an Airtable. An Airtable is basically an Excel table that lives in the cloud. This is what it looks like. I'm saving the ID of every post that I have, the comment count, the like count, the last time somebody commented on this. This is important because that's how I find new comments. And finally, I'm saving the link to that post, so I can use it in the notifications. What that first action does is it searches for the post ID in that table. I'm doing this because if I created a new post, it goes up here and it creates a record for that new post. So basically it just saves the post ID in the Airtable. If it finds that post ID, it continues. I'm using something called filters for that. and I'm just checking the total number of bundles. If it's equal to 0, the post doesn't exist. If it is higher than 0, the post exists. All right, so the post exists. Next, we are going to list every comment that has been made on that post. Now, depending on your engagement, this can be a lot of comments, of course. So you need to be careful how many comments you want to answer to. All right, so the comment has been found. It exists already. Now I will check if it has any new comments. For that, I'm using a list media comments action. I have limited this to 3 because I only want to auto-respond to 3 comments, but you could set this up however you want. Now, the next check we are doing is if that comment has already been answered or not. And for that, we are using that timestamp that I showed you in the Airtable. So the idea is if the timestamp in the Airtable has been changed, and we will change that in the very last step of this scenario, nothing to do here, but if the timestamp of the comment is newer than the last time we have changed something in the Airtable, then we will answer it. Now, the next step might be optional for you, but I found for my comments that they are either just emojis or a little bit of text. And I wanted to respond to these differently because the way I had set it up before, somebody would post 2 emojis and I would write half a paragraph saying, oh, thank you very much. This means so much to me. You're the greatest follower ever, which didn't really sound very natural. So I wanted to change things up. If I find a post that is emojis only, that gets a very short response with just a few emojis back and maybe the word thanks or so. But if somebody actually writes a few words or a sentence, I want to create a proper response to that. And unfortunately, every once in a while, there were some comments made that I didn't want to respond to, so I had ChatGPT flag those as inappropriate. So as you can see in this classifying step, I'm telling ChatGPT just to respond with one word, either the word emoji or inappropriate. And I can use these single word answers as filters in the next steps to decide where to continue with the scenario. So if the comment has been classified as inappropriate, it only sends me a Telegram notification and does nothing else. If the comment has been classified as emoji only, it continues down this middle row. So then the next thing it will do is honestly a bit overkill, I think. I'm using the very latest AI technology to just write back a small response, also consisting of 2 or 3 emojis. Well, we can do it anyway. So I'm telling ChatGPT to respond to that emoji-only comment by also coming up with a few emojis and maybe a few words or so. Now, the rest is still the same for both of these rows. If I'm telling it to write a full reply, it continues down here. So only if it's not an emoji or if it's not inappropriate. So if somebody has actually written a text comment, I'm being a bit more thorough. I'm also trying to identify the first name of the person that has commented by letting ChatGPT take a look at the Instagram handle and trying to find a name in that. Now, if it finds a name, this is the prompt I'm using to generate in the spot, telling it there might be a first name, there might not be a first name. I'm passing it the results of the previous ChatGPT steps. And of course, you could tweak this to your liking if you want to, include certain information always, or have a certain call of action to be included in these prompts always. This is where you do this. Now, the rest of the scenario is the same for both responses. Next, we will post that reply that we've just created in the previous step. We will optionally send me a Telegram notification so I can double check what I've written. The next step is, as I said, optional. I will send myself a Telegram notification. Finally, I've included a 20-second pause because I didn't want to overwhelm the Instagram API and make it look too artificial. And this green thing at the end just tells Make to start over and go through the next comment and do everything again. Now, once every comment has been processed, I'm updating the Airtable record once. More precisely, I'm updating the comment count and the like count. That will also change that timestamp from the last comment time that we're using at the very beginning to find out if there have been new comments posted. Now, something to bear in mind is this down here. Make is priced by the amount of operations that you use. So if it runs each of these circles, that counts as one operation, and you have a certain number of operations that you can use up in your monthly allowance. And as you can see down here, this can add up pretty quickly. Just imagine you have 10 posts with 10 new comments. So 10 times 10 is already 100 operations. And then this part down here will run 100 times. So you can see how this adds up really quickly. So you want to tweak that for yourself. So there are 3 ways how you can tweak the number of operations used. The first one is deciding how often this scenario runs. You could run this only once a day or maybe twice a day. You could also run it every hour or every 10 minutes if you want. Then you could tell it how many posts it should look at, like only the newest ones, for example. And lastly, you could tell it how many comments it should answer. I've kept this at 3, but you could raise that to 50 or only decide to respond to 1 comment. That's totally up to you. All right, so in a nutshell, this is how I automatically respond to comments made on my Instagram profile. If you want to save some time, you can download a copy of this automation. You can have me set this up for you. Please remember to use the code SMART at checkout if you decide to buy it. If you thought automating the comments is helpful, you are welcome to check out the full tutorial on how to totally automate the social media presence of a social influencer. That is available for free, and I've linked it as the first video in the description below. So thank you, and see you in the next one.